So first step is that we get the water started, and then I move over here. Don't mind the mess. We had our community over last night. This is first thing in the morning. I usually take and just do a little cold rinse in my Chemex here. So the cold rinse just because it's been sitting out all night. I'll rinse it again with hot water, but I want to make sure it's kind of clean before it hits that filter. So then the next step is I take out my cup that I use for beans, and I take out my scale. I go like this. And I kept mentioning sort of tearing the scale, but got cup on the scale. You can see that. And it now weighs in at 0 grams. Now we're ready for the beans. Alright, we've now got our beans. Glorious Stumptown African. And I'll just try to do this. Sorry. Let's just pour this out here. Just keep an eye on. Alright, next up is to take your beans, just allow that, and put them in the grinder, just like that. Now done with that cup. And grind them up, make them look pretty. My grind setting's good. Oh, but the grinder's not plugged in, so then we do that. Heyo. Once the beans are ground, take your paper filter, right? And let that to go in your brewer, your Chemex, right there. And so I usually just kind of sit it there and let it wait. So at this point I've got a dry paper filter, and you can use either the bleached or the unbleached, it's fine. Remember that you want your 3 folds right here to go by the pour spout in the front. And so I'm just waiting for my water to get hot. I'll rinse it and I'll show you kind of how I do that. Another great option made by Coava is the Coava cone, which is like a stainless steel reusable cone that you can use as a filter in place of the paper. So if you get cooking and get even more nerdy, you can use that too. Alrighty, and our water's just about ready. Alright, homie, my water is ready to go. Got a dry filter, so I'm just going to rinse that puppy and try to get it straight. And so I like to just pour out enough water to fully saturate the filter, kind of get it all up there. Up. Okay, set the water back down. So you can see there's plenty of water still going through the filter. And then what I'll typically do is I'll just kind of take it, and you don't have to do this, but I get enough water in there that you can give it a good swish. You can kind of see that. Kind of rinses out whatever's in there too, probably. And then one of the things I mentioned is I try to pour it out without breaking the seal. There we go. So pouring it out, but we're not taking the paper out, so you're kind of getting the benefit of having the water go in and back out of the filter. So it's kind of rinsing it twice, I guess. Alrighty, so now we have our filter all rinsed. That's good to go. We're going to go over here and we're going to grab our ground beans. You can see those and kind of get an idea of the consistency there, but they are pretty looking. And so then we want to take those and land them nice and evenly in the filter. They should look all awesome. A lot of that. Okay. And so at this point we've got all the stuff in there that we want. We've got our filter, our brewer, and our beans, our ground coffee, and so then we're going to tare this thing back to 0. And we take our water, and a real important first step is that we let the coffee bloom, and so we'll fully saturate the grounds like this. You want to make sure that your coffee bubbles. You can see it bubbling up right there. If it's not bubbling, that means you got over roasted or stale beans. So I usually let this go for about 30 seconds, let it bloom for about 30 seconds. You'll notice too, it was like right on 60, but you probably end up This is 25 grams of coffee, and it'll be 400 grams of water. And you'll probably end up with around 60 to 70 grams of water there for the initial bloom. Okay, so it's been about 30 seconds, and so we'll go ahead and pour it again. Now, I kind of do something a little different than the Stumptown technique, and so I get it in and I fully saturate this whole deal, and I like to do a real strong pour down the middle, and you'll kind of see the effect that that achieves. And then as you're going, you just kind of want to keep your eye on your, about the 200 mark, I kind of do this, and I kind of spread some of that stuff outward. And I go back in for the center pour. You just want to keep your eye on your amount of water you're using, and I like to just really finish off with a nice strong pour right there in the center. Okay, and as the coffee drips, you'll see what that does, but it's already brewing. I went a little over, obviously you can see on my water, but it'll still work. Alrighty, so you can see that we're pretty much all brewed. We have a really nice little pot of coffee. You can kind of see the grounds too. You see what happens with the steam rising up, but it kind of creates takes the shape of the cone as you go down and pour. You probably can't see all the way down, but this is a little messier. But with a stronger pour down the middle, what you'll get is your grounds actually follow the shape of the cone all the way down, and they kind of create a little, we call that a puka right there, a little hole all the way down in the grounds. And so the next step is to drink it up. Alrighty, so the nice thing about this too is that your 400 grams of water will typically give you a, I don't know, like 3/4 of a cup initially, and then, I don't know, a little bit of change at the end, so you can kind of get, feels like a cup and a half out of it. I usually just have a little bit there. And now we just partake of the nectar. So good. So good. Cheers.
Super fabulous, the patterns have been uplifted. Smoke a chalice with the